There is a word I'm going to teach you today. It was forged in war, not metaphorically, not poetically, literally forged in the mouths of soldiers, people doing impossible things in impossible conditions, people for whom the difference between the right word and the wrong word was not a matter of sounding educated. It was a matter of telling the truth about what they were surviving. That word is still used today, every day, in offices and hospitals and sports fields and kitchens, and every place where human beings push against something that pushes back. And when you hear it, when you really hear what's inside it, you will never call anything very difficult again. 5 words, one from the battlefield, one that describes difficulty so deep it lives in the body, one so precise it makes people stop and say, and yes, that, exactly that. By the end of this video, very difficult will feel like the wrong tool for every job it was ever asked to do. I want you to think about something hard. Not difficult like a maths problem. Not difficult like finding a parking space. Truly hard. The kind of hard that tests something fundamental in you. That asks, quietly, without drama, whether you are actually capable of continuing. Maybe it was a period of your life, a year or several, when everything required more from you than you had. When getting through each day felt like climbing something with no visible top. Maybe it was a skill, something you decided you were going to learn, and then discovered the distance between wanting to learn it and actually learning it was a distance you hadn't properly measured. Maybe it was a relationship. Not a bad one, just a demanding one. The kind where love is not enough by itself, where love has to be accompanied by patience and sacrifice, and the daily decision to stay when leaving would be easier. Were those things very difficult? No, they were something more specific than that, something with texture and weight, and a particular flavor that very difficult has never once successfully described. Here is what very difficult sounds like to a native English speaker. It sounds like a translation. Not because it's wrong. It isn't wrong, but because no one who has actually lived inside real difficulty, who has been in it, underneath it, carrying it, reaches for very when they need to describe it. They reach for words that were built for difficulty, words that have difficulty inside them. Structurally, etymologically, in every syllable. Those are the words I'm giving you today. Out loud! Everyone! Hard things deserve to be named properly. Word 1, challenging. It was genuinely challenging. Start here. Your first, safest, most versatile replacement, but don't mistake its familiarity for weakness, because challenging carries something specific that difficult and very difficult do not. A challenge is an invitation, not a comfortable one, not one you necessarily asked for, but an invitation nonetheless, to rise, to respond, to discover whether you are equal to what is being asked of you. The first year was challenging in ways I hadn't anticipated. It's a challenging role, but that's exactly why I wanted it. She found the transition challenging, but she never considered stopping. That last sentence, never considered stopping, because challenging, unlike simply difficult, implies agency. It implies that you are in a relationship with the difficulty, not just underneath it, but facing it, deciding what to do about it. Challenging is hard with dignity in it. Use it when the difficulty has made something of the person going through it. Word 2, grueling. It was absolutely grueling. Now the body enters the conversation. Grueling is physical difficulty. Difficulty that exhausts not just the mind, but the muscles, the bones, the breath. The kind of hard that leaves marks. It comes from an old word meaning to punish. to subject someone to a harsh ordeal. And you can feel the punishment in it, each syllable a little heavier than the last. The training schedule was grueling, 6 days a week, 4 hours a day. It was a grueling climb. We stopped 3 times just to breathe. The last 3 months of the project were grueling. We were all running on nothing. Running on nothing. That is grueling. Not just tired, depleted. The tank not just low, but empty, and still moving forward, because stopping is not an option. Use grueling when difficulty has a physical cost, when it lives in the body as much as the mind, when you finish something and need days to recover. Word 3, demanding. It's an incredibly demanding process. Now we shift from physical to relentless. Demanding doesn't exhaust you in one blow. It makes continuous requests. It requires sustained attention, sustained effort, sustained quality, day after day, with no reduction in standard, no allowance for your bad days. Demanding is the difficulty of excellence maintained over time. It's a demanding job, but the people who thrive in it wouldn't have it any other way. Raising children is the most demanding thing I have ever done, and the most worthwhile. The course is demanding, but the standard is what makes the qualification mean something. There is something almost respectful about demanding. It implies that whatever is making the demands, the job, the art form, the relationship, the discipline, believes you are capable of meeting them. A demanding teacher is not a cruel teacher. A demanding teacher is one who sees something in you and refuses to let you give less than it deserves. Use demanding when the difficulty has standards, when it asks for your best, every time, without exception. Word 4, the soldier's word, arduous. It was an arduous journey. The process is long and arduous. Here it is. The word forged in war. Arduous comes from the Latin arduus, steep, high, difficult to climb. It entered military language to describe marches, campaigns, sieges. The slow, grinding, relentless difficulty of moving an army through terrain that resisted every step. Not the difficulty of a single battle. The explosive, terrifying difficulty that ends in minutes or hours. The difficulty of weeks, of months. Of continuing when continuation seems unreasonable. When every logical argument says stop, and you don't stop, because the mission requires it, because the people beside you require it, because something inside you has decided that this mountain, however steep, however endless, is going to be climbed. The road to recovery was long and arduous, but she never complained once. Building the company from nothing was arduous in ways that are hard to explain to people who haven't done it. It was an arduous negotiation. Months of setbacks before any progress was made. Arduous is for the long difficulties, the ones measured in months and years rather than hours and days, the ones that test not your strength at a single moment but your willingness to keep going across hundreds of ordinary moments when keeping going feels unnecessary. This is the soldier's word, not for the battlefield, for the march. For the 10,000 steps taken before the battlefield is even reached. When someone has gone through something arduous, and you acknowledge it with this word, they feel seen, properly seen. Because arduous is the word that tells the truth about what long difficulty actually costs. Word 5, the one that lives in the body backbreaking. It was backbreaking work. I told you one of these words describes difficulty so deep it lives in the body. This is that word. Backbreaking is the most physical, most visceral, most honest word on this entire list, and it carries something none of the others do, the weight of human labor across all of history. Think about what the word contains. A back, the part of the body that carries, the spine, the thing that holds a human being upright and breaking, works so hard, so unrelenting, so physically demanding that it bends the body toward its limit, that it threatens the very structure that keeps a person standing. Their grandparents did backbreaking work in the fields for 60 years. The construction took 18 months of backbreaking effort from every person on the team. Nobody sees the backbreaking work that goes into making something look effortless. That last sentence. Making something look effortless. This is important because backbreaking work is often invisible. The dancer's 10,000 hours of training, the musician's bleeding fingertips in the early years, the writer's 30 drafts that no one will ever read, the athlete's 5 a.m. mornings before the world is watching. The performance is what people see. The backbreaking reality is what made it possible. When you use backbreaking, you honor that. You acknowledge the cost that effort extracts from the human body, the real physical, unglamorous price of doing hard things well, and in a world that loves to celebrate results while ignoring process. Backbreaking is an act of honesty. Every episode, a story. Today, the story is a mountain. Not a metaphor, an actual mountain. One person, one summit. 5 stages of the climb. They begin at the base in the early morning, full of energy, full of intention. The first hour is challenging. New terrain, unfamiliar footing, the body adjusting to what is being asked of it. Hard, yes, but alive with possibility. By mid-morning, the path has steepened. The air is thinner. Each step requires a decision. This is grueling now, sweat and burning lungs and the specific private negotiation between a person and their own body. The afternoon brings no relief. The summit keeps receding. For every 100 meters gained, the path reveals another 100 waiting. The difficulty is not dramatic. It is just continuous, relentless, demanding, asking, always asking, more again, still more. By late afternoon, they understand something they didn't at the base. This mountain is not a single effort. It is 100 small efforts strung together across hours, each one requiring a fresh decision to continue. ARDUOUS, the word the soldiers knew, the march, not the battle. And then the final stretch. The last 100 meters, nearly vertical. Hands on rock now, not just feet. The body doing something it was perhaps never designed to do. Doing it anyway. Doing it because the summit is visible, and stopping here would mean carrying the not finishing for the rest of a life. Backbreaking. Every muscle, every vertebra, every cell asking the same question. And then the top. Wind, sky. The world below arranged like a map of everything they've come through. Challenging, grueling, demanding, arduous, backbreaking, one mountain, 5 truths about what hard things cost, and at the summit, a view that makes every word of it worthwhile. Your challenge this week. Think of something difficult you have done, or something difficult you are doing right now, or something difficult someone you love has gone through. Write one sentence, one of today's 5 words, your real experience. Not a hypothetical, not a textbook example, yours. I read every comment. I reply to everyone, always, and I want to say something. Writing about difficult things in a language that is not your first takes courage. It makes you vulnerable in two directions at once. That itself is a kind of backbreaking work. I see it. Come and write your sentence. Today you learned 5 words that replace very difficult and tell the truth about what difficulty actually costs. Challenging, hard with dignity, difficulty that asks whether you're equal to it, grueling, physical, punishing, the kind that leaves marks, demanding, relentless, continuous, excellence maintained under pressure, arduous, the soldier's word, the long march, the steep climb across months and years, backbreaking, the body at its limit, the invisible cost of doing hard things well. Next episode, very smart. And I need to warn you now. One of those words was used to describe a single human being, once, in a letter written over 300 years ago. The person who wrote the letter was himself one of the greatest minds in history, and the word he chose for the mind he was describing has never been equaled. It exists in English, waiting for you, and after next episode, you will own it. If this series is changing not just your English, but your relationship with effort, subscribe, because every week we find the words that tell the truth about beauty, about sadness, about fear, about difficulty, about what it actually means to be a human being moving through a complicated world. One word at a time. I'll see you in the next one.